Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well. It's a glorious day in Cornwall and the whole week has been fabulous weather-wise. The sky has been blue and the sea has been turquoise. It's just been like living in the south of France this week. It's been really, really nice, and I've been so blessed to be able to get out and about with Bertie Boo and enjoy the wonderful countryside and the fresh air. It's been really, really nice. Getting proper exercise makes me feel physically and mentally so much better, and I also feel that I'm getting my life back on track and getting back into my normal routine. The government announced this week that on June the 15th, the UK is coming a little bit more out of lockdown and non-essential businesses will be able to open, and I'm so pleased because it means that our framers, our photographer will be open for business, and we can progress with all these beautiful samplers that we have waiting to make available for you to stitch. For those that follow the Hands Across the Sea Samplers Facebook page and Instagram page, you'll see yesterday evening that I gave you a beautiful sneak peek of the Queen of the May and introduced Alana Kay, who stitched the model for us. We were so excited when Alana joined our team last year and agreed to stitch the Queen of the May 2020. She was ready at the beginning of this year, and I brought her back from the States the beginning of March, but of course when I got back we went straight into lockdown, and I've not been able to get her framed and I've not been able to get her photographed. Now, I could have photographed her myself, pinned out, but I didn't want to do that. The Queen of the May is always our showcase sampler of the year, and she deserves the very, very best. So we decided that the best things in life are worth waiting for, and we have been waiting that we can actually get her framed in a frame of our choice, and that she can have a session in our photographer's studio where she is photographed in proper conditions, rather than me photographing her and then sending the image to our photographer to get a frame photoshopped onto her. So although the Queen of the May will not be released in May this year, we very much hope that she will be releasing maybe in about 3 weeks' time. And I will do a video on her and show you her in depth and the original sampler that we have reproduced. She's beautiful, and I promise you, you will love her when you see her. Now, the sampler I have here, I'm so excited about this sampler. For those who watch most of my videos and read most of my ramblings will know that when I was travelling to London to go to Nashville, I saw that 2 samplers had come up for auction, and these 2 samplers were up for auction in Penzance, Cornwall. And the moment I saw both of them, I knew they were samplers that I really wanted to have in my collection. And I knew I had to break out my piggy bank. So that was the reason why I couldn't buy a Hug Me bag at Nashville. I needed to keep my pennies for these 2 samplers. Well, when I got home, the UK went straight into lockdown, so I could not go to the auctioneers to view the samplers in person, and in fact the auctioneers, all the auctioneers in the UK couldn't proceed with their auctions. They were non-essential businesses, so they were closed down. So I've had to wait until the auction was rescheduled, and I think it was probably, time is just of no meaning at the moment, I think it was probably about 2 weeks ago that this auction was rescheduled for, but you couldn't go along and bid in person. You couldn't go along and view the items because of the lockdown rules. So all bids had to be done via telephone, via email, or via the sale room. So I put my bids in, and I wasn't tempted to watch. I put my bids in and I walked away, and later in the day I looked. The one sampler I didn't get, but I wasn't prepared to bid more than I did without actually seeing the sampler, because we were talking very serious money on that sampler. But this sampler I got, and I was so thrilled. Both the samplers I really loved, but I felt a very strong emotional attraction to this sampler. And I think the reason why is that the sampler was stitched by a young girl when she was 10 years of age in 1834, and it was stitched in the town of Helston. And Helston is our nearest town. In fact, our official postal address, or Helston is our official postal town. It is literally 12 minutes in the car. It's where we go to do our food shopping, our banking, and those sort of things. And the house that this little girl lives in, I have walked past so many times. Alice Ann Simons was a Methodist. She was baptised in the Methodist Church in 1824. She stitched a sampler in 1834, and by 1845 she had died. So much death in those times. Her father died in 1840, and he was a grocer in Cornish Hall Street in Helston. And when her father died, her mother became a spirit dealer, and that meant that she wasn't sort of like a pub keeper. She must have bought and sold alcohol. Obviously, Alice dying at 20, there isn't that much information on her. But when everything opens properly here and I can go to the record office in Truro, I will do a search of the records for the graveyard or the cemetery that she would have been buried in to see if I can find her headstone. And if I can, or if I can find where in the cemetery she is buried, I will go and visit her grave and take some flowers and say some prayers, and I will share that with you. And also, when the record office opens, I may be able to access more information about her life. I don't know yet, but there were many brothers and sisters. They led interesting lives. Her one sister ended up in Australia, and her other sister ended up in Brazil. She married a Cornish miner who went to Brazil and ended up with a gold mine. So it's quite an interesting family, and it's really lovely to do all that research around it. So let's have a look at the sampler. Even if there wasn't a local collection, I would have wanted this sampler. I love her border. Her border is different, and I like different. This is going to be a little stinker to chart, but I am really looking forward to charting this sampler. And I also love the fact that we have carnations in the side border, then rosebuds in the top and the bottom. And I also love how she has scattered little sayings around the sampler. The top one is, now thy creator in the days of thy youth. Let's do youth. Remember. So, now thy creator in the days of thy youth, remember. And at the bottom is, tis education forms the youthful mind. As the twig is bent, the tree is inclined. Her verse is, "'Tis religion that can give sweetest pleasures while we live. 'Tis religion must supply solid comfort when we die. After death his joys will be lasting as eternity." And 10 years after she stitched this sampler, Alice was dead. Life is cruel and hard. And I think that's one of the things that make these samplers so special, that even in a short life, there is something to remember these girls with. I always feel so emotional when you make this connection to the girls. The sampler has some really, really pretty motifs. This is gorgeous. Very, very pretty. I also love that there's a bird's nest with little eggs in this tree. And of course, the little bucolic scene is just adorable. Alice spelled her name with a double L. And in her birth records, I've actually seen the entry in the church records, and it was spelt with one L. And her death record is spelt with one L. And the 1841 census return is spelt with one L. And it makes me wonder if Alice pronounced her name Elise. And one of the things I must do when I get out of lockdown is speak to a local Cornish person that still speaks with a true Cornish accent and see how they pronounce Alice. It will be very interesting to see if her pronunciation of her name relates to how she spelt her name with the double L. Anyway, I just really, really wanted to share this sampler with you. Things are precious, and this is a precious sampler to me. The colours are really pretty, but I'm going to expose the back of this sampler to see what the back colours are, and when I do, I will share that with you as well. I think that in these pop-up videos and this sort of closer look that we've been sharing with you about our reproductions, we've all learnt, and samplers were used as a tool to educate in the 17 and 1800s, and in the 21st century these samplers are being used to educate us today. They're serving their original purpose. Now, I was going to show you my progress on Jane Hearth, but I was so excited to show you this sampler I forgot to bring her into the room, so I'm going to just stop this video, run and get her and come back. You need to put your sunglasses on to look at Jane. Here she is. She is one psychedelic funky sampler. This tulip is just like a stained glass window. It's so pretty, and the colours are just so joyous to stitch with. This carnation, for some reason, it just reminds me of a map of the US of A. I don't know why. Just such fun. I haven't stitched the birds on top of here. I was very anxious to get to this bit, which is for me the highlight of the sampler. When I posted a picture of this last night on Facebook and Instagram, a few people said that this could be an album cover, and yes, I agree. I thought of that as well. In the 60s and the 70s, this could have been an album cover. It just goes to show, we all think we invented a style or a fashion, but things get repeated through the centuries. Anyway, there she is, and I'm looking forward to the end of the day when I can settle down and work a little bit more on Jane. She's coming together slowly. The time I've had to stitch lately has been much reduced, but I've got to try and get some stitching in each day, otherwise I get the jitters. Oh, do you like my t-shirt? A little gem. My husband treated me to this. And I've also got another one with another little title engraved on it, and I'll keep that as a surprise until I wear it in a video. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. I hope to be back in another couple of days, and until then, stay safe, stay well, and bye-bye.